Welcome back. So now in this session we will take a look at iPhone and iPad simulators. In general, iOS simulators. So here you go. Now you are looking at my screen, which is running an iOS simulator. It's for iPhone Retina 4-inch and the iOS version is 7.0.3. So I just ran a sample app in my Mac, and then I've been running this simulator. So I created a test app, and then I had selected one of the simulators, and then it's been running. My test app is running in the simulator. So since I just changed the version, so it is not been running here. So when your simulator is running, you can change the hardware, which is iPhone Retina 3.5 inch. I'm just changing it now because I ran my app in that. So here you go. So this is my iPhone Retina 3.5 simulator. Again, the OS is 7.0.3. This is my test app. Here is my test app. If you are running your tests on your simulator, so as I said before, running in a simulator or emulator and running in a real device, both are different. And when you get into the project or product at the early stages, you will obviously get a simulator to test your navigation and test your functionalities. Though iOS or Android simulators have dependencies in itself, such as you cannot do certain features in a simulator. For example, you cannot use an app with an accelerometer, or you cannot run an app with the gyroscope, or you cannot run the camera. In an Android simulator, there is even option for running camera. I can even showcase you that. You cannot run a proximity sensor. You cannot give a microphone input to your app directly from the simulator. So those are all the dependencies of being testing in a simulator. Obviously, there are certain clones are available. You can run your simulator, iOS simulator, in a Windows PC itself, but I advise people to test in a Mac. And here I just ran my test app. If you are working on a project or product, the product will display here, the product name and all those functions. And obviously you will clone your project or product from your repository, either Git or SVN or CBS. You will clone that and it will come to your Mac or PC, and then from there you will be running. So this is how it goes. There are even certain versions, applications that you can run your iOS application in a Windows PC, but we are not going into that right now. So right now I'm just showcasing you the simulator and the possibilities of your simulator. So here you get maps, here you get Safari to test web apps, and it's the actual Safari which goes into any iOS device. So if I just go there, and this is a Safari, and I can go to a website, type here, and then I get here. And you can, if you are running a web app, so you can get into that app, and you can play around with the app and functionality here. These are like So I can obviously I can search things, and it actually acts as a normal Safari browser. So since you can change the hardware, you can change it to either different iPhone or iPad right into your Mac, and it will display here. So there were different limitations other than what we discussed before, like you cannot do an accelerometer, or you cannot do a gyroscope, or you cannot do a camera here, you cannot give a microphone input here, you cannot play with an app with the proximity sensor. So there were other limitations, like if you're running a game, or if you're working in a project if it's a game, or if it is using OpenGL ES, Graphics Libraries, embedded system libraries. So your iOS simulator does not use a tile-based deferred renderer. So you can Google that later. And iOS simulator does not provide a pixel accurate match to the graphical hardware, and the rendering performance of OpenGL ES in iOS simulator has no relation to the performance of OpenGL ES in an actual device. So the performance is not same. So you cannot report a bug from an emulator saying the performance is not very good. You're supposed to report that kind of defects from an actual device itself. There are other API limitations are there for in a simulator or emulator. For example, if you have an app, say Nimbus or WhatsApp, and you're working for that, and it uses push services, and if you need to test that service, and you're supposed to test it in a device, the code can be written in your Mac, and it has to be tested in a device itself. So the push services is a problem, and privacy alerts for access to photos or contacts or calendars and reminders, it will not really alert you in many cases, but in an actual device there will be an alert. And iCloud document syncing, key value storage support, so it will not be really there in a simulator. I'll just try to change another hardware which gives you more clarity. And the simulator is also other issues, like iOS simulator does not have complete backward compatibility, and in addition to supporting iOS 7.0, iOS simulator supports iOS 6.1, and to use iOS simulator for iOS 7.0 you must be running XCode 5. That is another thing which I need to really tell you. So these setup, obviously your developer will be or your people who supports you to do this test will be able to provide you, like they will really give you a simulator, and they'll be able to support you for that. And also you have another option, which is you can run your app in 64-bit directly. So you can test it in 64-bit. iOS simulator includes the ability to simulate 64-bit hardware, and let me just wait for some time to in order to this 64-bit to load. And also you can test accessibility of your app in a simulator. So here this is a 64-bit version, and so you can, if you have an app, you can directly run into this 64-bit version. I'll just change my hardware to Retina 3.5, and I'll show you how you can check the accessibility, because we later stages we will be looking at applications or frameworks like Calabash for automation. So there you may need to really have the features like accessibility. What button is that exactly? You need to really know that. So for that, go to settings and go to general, go to accessibility and switch on accessibility inspector. There you go. Then you'll get an accessibility inspector. Tap on that if you really don't get it. Yeah, you can. So I'll just, yeah, tap on that. So now the inspector is running. So if you tap on any button, it will give you what is that, whether it is a button or it's a text, bold text, subtitles. So you can go back, you can stop the accessibility inspector meantime, and then you can go back, and then for example here, location, there, start. Here this is a accessibility. You can do that in your app in order to do the accessibility. So this is how it goes. So this is an amazing feature where it will help you into inspect the elements in app. And I wanted to showcase you the maps now, so I took it out. I'll change the hardware now. For example, there is maps, and I tap on that to bring out the map. Now again, so this is a map service. It will give you the meaning that the map service here will be completely running as a map service, meaning that if your application uses map services, then it will be able to use the capability of the map services. This is what I really wanted to tell you at this point in time. If you have a TV out, like you wanted to display this in a TV out, so you can be able to display that down there. You can enable or disable the TV out. You can, but as a tester, it is actually not really required at this point in time. I'll change that. So this is your simulator, and the moment you run your app, your simulator will be automatically popped, and it will display the app, or it'll give you the Safari to navigate to your mobile web page if it is a mobile web app. So this is how it goes. This setup has to be given to you by your engineers, and then you will be able to do all those testing, like navigational testing, whether all the screen navigations working or not. If you get wireframes or screens, this is how the screens will navigate, and then based on that, if you have written some test cases, you can validate that in a simulator. And if you have certain features, functionalities that deals with the database and go back and fetch some data and display for you, you will be able to test that using a simulator. And then UI buttons and the button sizes, the button color, so many other features that can be tested in a simulator. So there is a iOS developer library, and in there there is a page for how to use the simulators and what are all the possibilities of your simulator, and so on is displayed. You can also take a look at that. So being a mobile tester and starting your testing in a iOS simulator, if your test manager is asking for you to do that, or you are the test manager and you are going to run test cases in a simulator, you can very well do that. But hopefully you will arrange for a Mac to run the simulator based test cases. So so that is my iPhone and iOS iPad simulator session, and all you need to do is run your app down there and then play around with that. That's all. And then you will also obviously have test cases to execute, and as I told you before, you have good amount of very good possibilities of validating most of your app features and functionalities in a simulator itself. And I told you that certain features you have certain hardware limitations and certain API limitations and certain OpenGL graphical library limitations. Other than that, you can well go ahead and run your test in a simulator. So that's it at this session. So I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.